Okay, we'll call the meeting to order at 5:30. First item on the agenda is roll call.
Mike Steinel,
Here.
Joe Zitzelberger,
Here.
Kristen Runge,
Here.
Chris Zellner, Sue Springman,
Here.
Melissa Hunt,
Here.
Brian Wallace.
Here.
All right, next item on the agenda is minutes. Do we have anything that we would like added or deleted from the minutes? If not, I have a motion to approve?
Move to approve. Second.
All right, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item up then is public comment. Do we have anyone who has submitted a form for public comment? Do we have forms for public comment?
I do not have forms. so
All right,
I
Nyla
have
has
to
raised her hand.
improv it.
Nyla? 3-minute limit as with regular board meetings.
Nyla Fry, 404 East Berlin Avenue, Wanakee. As you look at the State of the Village report tonight from the Lakota Group, I ask you to consider real-life impacts that our lack of affordable housing currently has. Healthcare facilities, assisted living, long-term care, and memory care facilities depend on low-paid workers living out of town, partially due to the high cost of housing in town. During emergency weather conditions, workers from Sun Prairie, Madison, Middleton, and the surrounding area may not make it to work, creating a very difficult situation. Workers in the facility need to work longer hours, serving more patients due to the worker shortage. Workers may need to care for 2 or even 3 times the number of patients. Would you want your loved ones in the care of overworked caretaker? I know of people who have moved out of Wanakee to find affordable housing. One was going to see her rent double after her rental unit was sold. She couldn't find anything affordable here and moved over an hour away up to a place where she knew no one. It's tough starting over. As the report notes, Wanakee is becoming very wealthy in comparison to the rest of Dane County, which drives up housing costs. We need to provide housing that those making over $75,000 can afford. Teachers will start by bypassing job share as the commute time from affordable communities is too long. Many teachers are at school before it opens and are coaching extracurricular, so they have a choice of a job with housing they can afford and a shorter commute, they will take it. Retail and restaurant staff can't afford to live here currently, and finding employees who will staff those jobs becomes harder as we don't have public transportation. Madison, Sun Prairie, and Middleton do have buses. If people can't get to jobs, those jobs will remain empty. Being car dependent hits those with lower incomes harder because car insurance, registration, maintenance, and gas are all part of the budget where a bus pass is much cheaper. Please put yourself and your family in the shoes of others to try to understand the need for changes that help make Wanakee a socially and economically diverse community. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Nyla. Anyone else who'd like to make a public comment? Do we have anyone online who'd like to make a public comment? If you're online and would like to make a public comment, raise your hand. We don't have anyone online? All right. So with that, we'll close public comment and we'll move on to business item number 1, discuss and take action on site plan application for the Rotary Arch in Village Park, and this is for final action by the Plan Commission.
All right, I'll start with a quick presentation and then we also have some folks with Rotary here who can share some additional information. So we have a site plan application for the proposed Rotary Arch in Village Park. This was a concept that was already approved by the Parks and Rec Committee as well as the Village Board, but now we're looking at more specific plans for the arch. This project would replace existing pillars that are in the Main Street right-of-way near the entrance of the park. And this final approval is needed from Plan Commission in accordance with our ordinances. So we might, go back to this, but this is the kind of rendering that the Rotary folks have provided. They do have some items that they're looking for feedback on, especially as it relates to some of the sizing of the letters and the colors, and I'll let them touch on that a little bit more. But really hoping to kind of, this design is really hoping to match the bridges that are in the park and really represent kind of the special pieces of Village Park in Wanakee. Again, a more specific rendering of the design of the arch. And then, additional details on the arch. So it will have two new masonry pillars with connecting archway feature. The overall height would be 25 feet. The clearance would be 15 feet 3 inches underneath the arch. I want to add that both engineering and the fire department have reviewed this and have no concerns on the clearance height. There's proposed lighting, which appears to be downcast and shielded, so no concerns there, and it is outside of the floodplain. Hoping to get some feedback from the Plan Commission regarding this archway. But in addition to that, staff recommend approval of the proposed site plan. With that, do the Rotary folks want to provide some additional comments?
I can hear.
Oh, we'll have you come up to the podium and press the button so it's green. That way they can hear you online.
Yeah, so a couple comments regarding colors. The red is purely just to show the stone. I think the intention is to match the stone of the pavilion as well as the Veterans Memorial that's currently in the park right now. We are looking for some feedback in terms of color of the cattails, whether you want that to be monochrome or painted to be realistic. Same thing with the letters up top. Those are completely open to interpretation from the village. Also logos, numbering, et cetera, on the actual signage itself. And then one point of comment on the bridge. So the intention is to actually paint the bridge portion of the arch to match the stonework of the bridge that's in the park. That will be done by Abby Wilson, who's a painter here in town. All of that will be clear coated and protected. And the idea is to keep everything maintainable for the long term. So that's all I got.
All right. With that, so since we've asked for feedback, let's open it up. And Mike, can we start with you?
As I have no questions, as long as it's aesthetically in line with the rest of the things in the park, I'm good.
Okay, Sue.
Same.
All right, Chris.
Same.
All right, Joe.
When we had seen a proposal for this the first time, there was some additional, I don't know, sort of reminiscent pieces. I'm curious kind of what happened to that, or if there's still something that'll happen with that long term.
That's still there. So currently as it stands, you'll basically have, I don't know if people are familiar with the terms of the steel industry, but you'll have flat bar up at the top. So we have a long horizontal steel tube running across with two pieces of flat metal. There's a bunch of holes up the top that basically function like an erector set. So the intention is to have removable plates that represent buildings in town. Kind of want to leave that one also up to interpretation of some whatever the village wants to pick, citizen input, et cetera. But the idea is that can change as Wanakee evolves over time. So, you know, if the skyline gets bigger, we can add buildings. Those will all be painted realistically. So basically we'll burn a rough outline of the building and then our local mirrorless Abby will go through and basically paint it. More or less make like a hyper realistic diorama of Wanakee up in the space there.
Very cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Great. Brian.
I have no questions and I have no art ability, so I can't tell you on colors.
And Melissa.
Nothing except thank you for the investment. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
And no feedback from me other than this is really exciting to see this move forward and the plans look amazing.
Thank you.
So thank you.
I'll move to approve the site plan application for the Rotary Arch in Village Park.
I'll second that.
Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you guys very much for coming tonight. All right, next item up, discuss and take action on a specific implementation plan application for Mr. Splash Car Wash at South Holiday Drive and Yeska Drive for final plan action by Plan Commission or by Joint Plan Commission. I'm sorry about that.
All right. Yeah. So this is a specific implementation plan application because it's in a PUD and it is in the joint plan area. So it will go to the Joint Plan Commission for final action tomorrow night. I have it highlighted where it's located. It's just north of the Aldi site in the Kilkenny West development. So here is a site plan of the project. So the proposed car wash itself is on the southern portion of the site. And then you can see kind of a drive-through that goes across the north side, south, and then goes through the car wash. They have several parking spots. And something that we'll chat about is that Most, if not all, the parking spots have vacuums next to the parking stalls. That's kind of, if you've seen Mr. Splash in other locations, that's the thing they do. So you can get a car wash and then also do vacuuming. So we can come back to the site plan, but I'll just move forward here. I did include some building elevations. We did go through kind of 2 rounds of staff comments on this, and the applicant did make some changes to improve aesthetics to the building. I think this looks really good. And we also kind of gave them Aldi's renderings as kind of a reference point. Just given the location of this site being on Century Ave Highway Q, we thought it was important that the building looks good and that it kind of sets a precedent for other buildings that come after it. So here are some renderings as well of the building itself. Can always come back to these if you'd like to reference them, but it does show kind of the building and the changes in the colors on the building, as well as the parapet of the building. And then you can see in the renderings as well the vacuums at the parking stalls. Another view of the site. So Tim Semin provided a memo to you all that included some just additional items that you could consider as part of this approval. The biggest one was architecture. He provided some comments for potential improvements. If you'd like to kind of chat about that with the developer. So the first one being potentially altering the palette of colors so that there's a greater degree of contrast between, and that should say, base course of materials and the building's main facade. And actually, the architect did bring some actual materials here that we could look at if you'd like to explore that option. The second comment was considering a more pronounced parapet cap around building to create a greater sense of prominence along this highly traveled corridor. Tim also commented on the glazing, so the windows that are included on the building. So on the north side, he recommended transparent glazing to at least show some interior lighting and for better street activation. And then on the south facade, he recommended clear glazing. So just some comments to kind of make the building look more activated as part of the kind of corridor. Other comments that were included in his memo, so parking/circulation. He did kind of ask about the necessity for overhead vacuums on the northerly tier of the parking lot. Just wanted, the Plan Commission to consider whether that many vacuums was necessary for the development, and whether every single parking stall needed to have a vacuum. You'll note that Tim also commented on landscaping on the north side, and actually the developer did address that comment. So I do have the updated landscaping plan here, which provides a better buffer on the north side for the vacuum units, as well as using some evergreen trees that help provide some year-long screening. And then finally, we did review photometrics for the site, and you'll notice that on the east side of the property, there is some light spillage. However, this is directly adjacent to a village-owned property. It's where a stormwater pond is located or will be located. And looking at that, we thought that would not be a concern because it'll be so far away from Century Ave that we don't anticipate any issues with that. And you might notice on some of the other plans that the light poles are shown actually on the village property. And we talked to the architect on that, and they are going to move that back onto the car wash property. So with that, hoping to get some feedback from the Plan Commission on some of these comments that Tim provided. But overall, we think this is a great plan and would recommend approval of the SIP.
Thank you. Do we have anyone here from the car wash to speak?
We do. We have the architect and car wash representative.
Yeah, good evening. Brandon Adler with Angus Young Architects and Engineers. Also with us is Jeff Juice with Mr. Splash. As Lauren mentioned, the plans in front of you are part of our second submittal package. We went through a number of updates, including adding glass, adding a, Lauren, if you want, maybe want to switch to one of the renderings. Yeah, this is a good one. Adding a second tower to the east end there. Adding ACM panels to both sides, the north and south. Adding some additional canopies. So a number of things to enhance the architecture on the building. Regarding the 4 outstanding staff comments that Lauren presented earlier. First one there was the color palette. We do have some color samples there. You want to share those with the team, Lauren? Really yeah, that'd be great. And then the metal and the coping cap is there too. But the colors we proposed are part of the current Mr. Splash prototype. They recently completed and opened one in Stoughton, and we've currently got one under construction on East Wash and Madison. Again, with these same colors, right? Hopefully we don't have to stray too far from that. Marketing purposes and keeping this new prototype going forward. So I guess we're open to some feedback on the colors. But then in regards to the second comment, in regards to the parapet cap and I think they're referring to this typical parapet cap that you see not at the towers. That's currently shown at 8 inches deep. We're definitely willing to expand that to 12 inches. Once we go more than 12, there's some additional wind uplift testing that's required by the manufacturer. So ideally, we don't have to go more than 12 inches there. The third comment then was in regards to the inclusion of transparent glazing on the north facade. Lauren, could we maybe go to sheet A401? Was just that 2D elevations. There we go. There we go. Okay, so the north elevation here, these 4 windows are the windows in question. These are all currently clear glazing, right? But these 4 we have specified as spandrel glass at this point. Those are in the equipment room. That room there is full of equipment, product storage, etc. We really don't want clients who will be walking on that sidewalk there to access vacuums, access the mat wash door right there. We really don't want them looking into the equipment room, seeing that equipment and product storage. So we thought if we needed to add the windows, which we did in that second version, right, as at the request of the planner, we would propose that would be spandrel glass. If you guys did want clear glazing, I think our solution would be to eliminate the lower portion of this, and then we would just have the transoms. So that could perhaps be a compromise there as well. But ideally, we don't have clients looking into the equipment room there.
Can you elaborate on the glass type you're talking about? Is that just like a frosted glass or?
Your microphone.
I'm sorry, is that just a frosted glass that you're talking
Yeah,
about?
correct. Yep. It's opaque, right? You would not see in. Yep.
Thank you.
Sure. And then I think the last comment was in regards to the vacuums along the northern property line. Lauren, you maybe just want to, I think actually if you go to the cover sheet at G001 with the overhead view, that perhaps is the best. Yeah. So this is pretty typical for all Mr. Splash projects to have vacuums on all stalls. The count here, I'm pretty sure we're at 23. It varies from site to site, anywhere from 20 to 24 typically. The purpose of having vacuums on all stalls one, for use, but two, employees will park on these stalls too. And it's a part of a tactic to show that we're busy, right? Employees are parking where the vacuums are, showing that we're busy. So that's part of it as well. So with that, I believe that addresses the four comments from planning, and we're open to questions and feedback.
All right. So with that, let's start. Joe, do you want to go first?
Sure, I got a list.
All right.
First one would be when customers come in and they go through the initial, I don't know, check-in, whatever that would be. They come around the corner and typically they would go straight into the wash, but there's a turnoff to the left. Obviously they could use that to get out of line, but is there any signage there or anything that directs them? Because it feels like if they were to go that way, there's not a good way to get back into the line.
Yeah, yeah, sure. And just to let you know, a signage package for the site will be coming down the road as another submittal.
Perfect. That was a follow-up. So
Yeah, Jeff.
I'm Jeff Joseph, the CEO of Mr. Splash. So the reason for that, yeah, there will be signage there, and that's just simply a bailout lane. And to give
Okay.
you an example why that's needed, sometimes people might come with a bicycle rack they have locked in the back of their vehicle. Our attendants will tell them, we can't wash with that on the vehicle. Rather than having them back out when there's more vehicles coming at them for safety, we'd normally just have cones in front of that. We just move the cones for
oh,
them,
perfect.
and then we'd let them out.
Okay.
And then
Yeah.
when you're coming, if they came into the vacuums first to vacuum before they wash, that we do have a sign that says "Do not enter," so they know that not to go through there. And like I said, we have the cones there.
Okay. And if they did the vacuum first, oops, do they go back around?
Yep, they can. Yep, they can easily just go right back around. Yep, we do the traffic flow for a reason. This is our, excuse me, we have 8 under construction. Now this would be our 9th location. I started the company in 2019, and the reason I do the traffic flow this way is it just works better to keep you to vacuum after you wash,
Sure.
so you can keep the traffic moving and not become issues.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds like that would work out well. The sign plan you'll have coming back at another date. Let's see here. Would you ever consider doing slightly wider stalls, or are those already wider? I'm
So-
assuming they're wider than normal parking spots.
Yeah, those stalls are actually like, I believe almost 14 feet wide on
Yep.
purpose. You can have
Yep.
both your doors open without hitting your neighboring vehicle.
Excellent.
Yep, so they're actually meant that way. We would be totally fine, by the way, going down to 20 stalls for vacuums if that would be more acceptable. And 4 without, 20 is normally the minimum we'd like to go for our vacuums.
I mean, given the infrastructure that would have to be there either way, I personally don't know that it makes any difference, but no, it's good to know that they're wider. And then the last one is probably more a question for staff. Do we have any, at this point, planned landscaping on Outlot 1? That would be directly to the east, I believe.
Bill, do you know the answer to that?
No. You're talking about the retention pond?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we haven't got anything as of yet.
Is it likely that we may be putting some trees along there? or-
Probably with being a retention pond, we usually don't have trees around the pond just because of leaves and stuff. Then
Okay.
getting into the unit, it'd be more like a prairie grass,
Okay,
more of a wildflower type area.
all right. That covers my stuff. Thanks.
Brian?
South side elevation, wasn't there a question about the windows there too?
Sorry, yes, south side, that is clear glazing already, and that's noted on the plans. So maybe just a miscommunication on the comment there, but that is already.
So when you say clear glazing, so from the south side or from the parking lot at not
You
Hy-Vee,
can
sorry.
see lights. Yeah.
That you'll be able to look in?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
but that's basically your bay where everybody's
Wash.
drying off and are washing or whatever, right?
Yep.
Yeah. As far as the cap on the top, I think a foot would be helpful. I don't think we need to push you any further than that, but it would just distinguish it a little more.
Sure.
And as far as the color combination, I'm good with it, especially the way you've got it broke up here. Looks like it's a good project. I'm not concerned about the vacuums either, the way you got it shielded. Nobody's really gonna see them too much from the road even.
Yeah, we upgraded this piece right here. Yep.
And I'm assuming even along beyond the pond, as the pond doesn't reach down to the parking lot, Bill, does it? It's,
I think your pond.
is
yeah,
more,
your pond
is back that way,
here.
yeah. So.
Yep.
All right, I'm good.
Thanks, Brian. Melissa?
I don't have any questions and I honestly don't really care about from the color perspective either. And frankly, I mean, it is a car wash and it's not like you're gonna have a ton of lights. It'd be different, I think, if it was a little more commercial on that to make the changes. The 8 inches between the 12, I mean, 4 inches is not as drastic as you think. I think from the eyes perspective. So from a cost perspective, I don't know if I feel like we need to put more on you for making an investment here. And then in regards to the stalls, I thought it seemed excessive. My bigger question would be like, do they look empty if there's so many of them? I don't necessarily care on that either. My only one question I did have was based on the new landscape plan. Do we just want to make sure anything that's as close as possible to the stormwater is potentially evergreens as opposed to deciduous trees would be my only 2 cents that I had on, and I don't remember which was which. But on that side was my only comment.
Thank you. Chris?
Simple questions for me, I think. I'm assuming that on the top, can you go back to the color picture? The parking lot attaches to the Aldi parking lot, is that correct? Up top there?
This location here, Chris.
Yeah, so do we think from a traffic flow perspective that people will be going into Aldi or out of Aldi towards yours? I mean, how's that typically play? I know you have, I think you have a location over by Menards, something.
Yep, we have a location in Sun Prairie right in front of the Menards there. Normally our traffic at that location is exiting the wash and going to the right on Grand Avenue. Or excuse me, on the Blue Aster and then on the Grand. For there, I would assume it'd be cross traffic. If people were shopping at Aldi's and they wanted to come over to Mr. Splash to wash, they would just go right through there. We do have sensors that actually go in the concrete. They're called anti-collision sensors. Reason for that, if you had someone that was exiting the wash, going through the dryers and was sitting there, if they couldn't, I don't foresee it being an issue at this location whatsoever, but if for some reason they were waiting because there was a vehicle there, it will actually stop the wash and not let the next person behind them exit until they move off of that sensor. So that's pretty much the safeties that are built in for that reason.
And I'm assuming your signage package, like we're talking about, is going to address this.
Yep, it actually has a light that says go or no go. Please pull
Sure.
forward. Yep.
Yeah, that's it for me.
All right, thanks. Sue?
I want to thank you for not building a bright red car wash.
Your microphone, Sue.
Oh,
Sorry.
I want to thank you for not building a bright red car wash, which is a new thing around the country, as you know.
So we had in Sun Prairie, we had to match almost identical brick to the Menards that were there. That was one of their requirements, which is the reason that is actually the red and the tan below.
Yeah, it's not that one. It's one in
Yeah.
Madison on East Wash.
But yeah, that's, oh, sorry.
Anyway, and I like
Oh,
their
okay.
colors. They're subdued and I think that's tasteful.
Yeah.
I don't have an issue with staying with 8 inches for a parapet. I agree with you using spandrel. You don't want to be looking at your equipment. And I don't have a problem with 23 stalls. I actually like the fact that you have that many vacuums because there is another car wash with vacuums and people use them all. But one question, can you use the vacuum without getting your car washed on occasion?
You absolutely can. So we actually advertise free vacuums and that's on our sign package here as part of our business model.
Because they're nice and powerful, whereas my.
So they're very powerful. Also, there's new improvements on all of our new properties now that you actually have air guns. So if you get water or soap, because a lot of heavy duty trucks, they get soap inside of them, the dryers can't get it out. So now we have air guns that have a soft rubber tip so that no one could ever scratch vehicle as well, but you can get inside and around your mirrors to go ahead and get that soap out. Also, if you have dust in your vehicle, in your dash. And then we have the new members room now too, that we just opened up. We just started this in our Stoughton facility that we're doing now. So we have free rags, cleaner, all-purpose cleaner and glass cleaner. So the idea is when you come to the car wash, you're not having to go home and do the same thing that you already paid to have a service. It is self-serve that way for our members. That's part of our new offerings now.
Great, thank you. Otherwise, I'm happy with it.
All right, thanks. And Mike?
I think it looks really good. I think it'll be a good addition. The only question I have is, we're sure like with Aldi's there and being on the corner with Q and Woodland, that the traffic patterns are gonna accommodate the amount of vehicles that could be going through here and Aldi's and all that, that'll work?
Yeah, I mean, back when this was all kind of planned out for the plat, we anticipated these, more intensive commercial uses along Q. So no concerns yet, but certainly something we can keep an eye on. If there's, excessive car stacking or something, we can definitely take a look at what improvements could be made.
Okay, sounds good. Looks good. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. And Joe, you had a follow-up?
Yeah, a couple of different things. I would support the 12-inch parapet. Can we take a look at pictures of Aldi just as a comparison? I think we're in the same ballpark material wise and everything, but
Yeah, their color scheme is actually fairly similar,
Yeah.
except they brought in a wood tone, which obviously we wouldn't want to introduce here.
yeah. Okay.
This back side is kind of a good view of it.
So we've got
I noticed they do have some spandrel glass on their south facade, I think.
yeah, the one we're looking at here, I think. Okay.
Yeah, they've got spandrel here, I believe.
So the colors are different enough that, nobody's gonna mistake that they're the same company or anything, but they're not, the styles are not dramatically different or anything. So, yeah, I think that all looks good. The only other thing that I would have, if we can go back to sort of the, maybe the ground. Yeah, right, that's a great one right there. So you've got the exit back into the vacuum area, but you've got an awful long way to go from there up to the actual entrance. What are the odds that an attendant is going to see an issue long after they've passed that? Would we be better off looking at potentially exiting out to the Aldi property if they would be willing to
Oh, the
entertain that?
bailout lane, you mean?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's completely up to you. This is my normal business model, which is the way we normally design them that way. So when you see the two auto teller stations out there too, we
Yep.
normally have at all times a person out there to greet people. And also.
that was the missing piece that I didn't.
Yep. So unless it's, not safe because it's too cold out or things like that, obviously. But whenever staffing does allow, we try and have someone out there to greet our guests, talk
Okay.
to them about our memberships, explain the wash functions and theories and things like that.
So they'd be able to address that well before they got to the
Absolutely.
bailout lane.
That's the whole purpose.
Perfect.
Yep.
Okay, that's it.
Right. And Chris, you had a question.
Yep, just a curiosity question. We have residential that's just across the road that's to your west. What's louder, the wash machine or the vacuums?
So actually, the new dryer technology that's coming out now is below 80 dBA. It's actually down to 75 dBA. And the reason for that, the industry as a whole across the nation, there's obviously a lot of concerns when you're close to residential. So the new dryers have called their power locks. So on the back of them, there's actually a sliding mechanism that before you ramp up, because we're trying to save electricity as well, they actually cover and it actually gives them a boost. And then only do they open when the vehicle's underneath and then they close back down. So they're also ran by VFDs, which are variable frequency drives, so that your dryers, like in the old Embay automatics, were constantly hammer on and hammer off, right? And so the new technology, we don't do that. Everything is, soft start and soft stop. Just like your AC compressors and condensers, the same kind of theory behind it.
Okay. And with your current locations, do you have a normal operating hours?
Yep. So our normal operating hours are 7 AM until 8 PM.
Okay.
We try and keep that the same across the board. If you use one of our facilities and are a member, you can use any one of our facilities. So as a franchise, a local grown franchise, we try and do the same hours everywhere.
Thank you.
Brian?
Out of curiosity, are the roof pitches of the towers the same as the one at Aldi's?
That's a Brandon question.
I'm just curious on that.
I guess we'd have to look at that plan.
I don't know that it makes a difference. I was just curious the way they are similar there. And then you've got, it looks to me like there's a dumpster location here on your bailout lane. What are the two up on the other? The same thing?
Yeah, so dumpster location here, and then these are vacuum enclosures here. So that's where your vacuum equipment is.
Okay, all right.
To answer your other question, part of the reason the noise is limited as well, we've got that block, the three sides around it, and there'll be gates in the front. So that also helps the producers so you don't hear the vacuum noise. And most people don't want to look at the giant piece of equipment out there, right? So we try and make them look pretty.
All right, other questions for anyone? So for the alternative material there, if we were to use that, where does that fall on the diagram? Is that the contrasting stripe in between the gray? Is that one of the tiers?
Yeah, I would hope that, you would be satisfied with us swapping that as the stripe.
Okay,
Ideally, again, like I said earlier, we don't want to stray too far from the
Yeah.
prototype colors, unless you really feel that's necessary. We could provide, some additional photos of the other one recently completed. There is some more contrast there, once you see this in person and besides a little, 2x2 sample.
okay,
So there is some more contrast there than what you see.
okay. All right, and then I would also support the 12-inch parapets. I didn't have any other questions, though. So we are using more evergreens than in the front than in the original plan. That comment's been addressed
Correct,
as well.
correct, yep.
Yeah, Brian.
Out of those, you said one of them's alternate or an optional color?
Yeah, so the light
Can you
one there,
pick out which ones are the normal ones you use versus,
those three are the other three on the building.
there's 4 there?
Yeah, the fourth one, that's the alternate.
Oh. But the 3 that are normally what you use is what you use in all of your
Yeah,
locations?
yep, East
Okay.
Wash and Stoughton, 2 projects, got those on.
Talked about the pair- Okay, all right, thank you.
All right, any other questions? All right, comments? All right. Seeing none, do we have action?
Yes, if I can, please.
Yeah.
I would make a motion to approve based on the following items, and I'm gonna go through this list if that's all right. On the architecture, my approval would be based, just keep on the same colors as you normally have used. I think that's reasonable. The parapet cap at 12 inches. The glazing that you discussed on the windows, which would be frosted windows on the south and on the north, I'm sorry, flip-flopped. North is frosted or however you explain that, and then the south is just an open window, correct? I
Clear.
believe that- Or clear, yes,
Correct.
not open. Good with the vacuums the way they are. I think we've discussed the landscaping and I didn't see any issues with the lighting.
I'll second, but I have a quick question. Is there a significant cost with that parapet going to 12 inches? From 8 inches?
No, I would say it's,
Scheme of everything is probably pretty minimal.
yeah,
Okay, thanks.
All right. Any other questions or discussion? All right, seeing none. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right, thanks.
thanks for your time.
Yeah, thank you, guys. I'm excited. Go to the new car wash. Yeah. All right, next up on the agenda, item number 3, discuss and take action on the existing conditions report for the Wanakee 2040, comprehensive plan.
All right, we have Andy Cross with the Lakota Group here. So we're gonna get him up.
Hey.
Hi, Andy. How are you
Hello,
today?
it's nice to see you all again.
Good to see you.
Lauren, do you have some introductory comments you'd like to share first before I kind of walk the commission through this?
I'll let you take it over.
Well, right. All right, and just one quick funny thing. I sat where Lauren is sitting for 20 years as a city planner, and it's just so much fun to sit back and listen to the car wash items and the special use permits and things like that. So thank you all for volunteering your time to do all that. But now put on your other hats as the steering committee and let me talk you through the existing conditions report. Now we call it the state of the village because that just sort of makes sense in a lot of ways, but that can be, another document that comes out of finance and the village manager's office. But the existing conditions report is really the key deliverable that ends phase 1 of the 3-phase comprehensive planning project. And so just excited to deliver it to you. A lot of work has gone into it. This summer we spent a long time working with staff cooperatively on a number of elements through this. And the plan is so detailed, as you saw, that we ended up finding a number of things that needed more work. Like the mapping, some mapping layers for the city's zoning map needed some work, and the land use map. We did a real deep dive into that. It's only a page or two in this report, but we spent weeks working on that cooperatively with Todd and Lauren and Austin, and really getting the information right. So it's I'm excited to say that this really is some of the most detailed land use data the village has ever had. Even the last comp plan used 2016 data from the county. So really excited about that. That in a lot of ways, we're just starting with a clean slate and moving forward. So the existing conditions report itself, it's an exploration and a deep dive really into the village of Wanakee, and not only with our research, but also hearing from residents from the community. And so I think it's really cool for you all as a steering committee and the public once we release this to really get a great perspective on, well, what do people think? You know, I know what I think, but what do other people think? And other people's a lot. If you didn't know, we hadn't had a chance to share it. The turnout to our online survey was incredible. So that's so we spent a lot of time going through all that, synthesizing all the responses and finding themes in there, gleaning themes, and that's what you'll see talked about in the public engagement summary in that report. I'd like to talk about a few things, bring those to your attention. But first, I'm very eager to hear from you all. I mean, nobody knows this village better than you as commissioners and your years serving. Did anything in the existing conditions report kind of jump out at you or surprise you? What did you find especially interesting?
Well, let's just treat that as an open question. Does anyone have anything that jumped out? Yeah, go ahead, Sue.
I may have missed this, but when we were talking about housing and affordability, et cetera, I didn't feel like you acknowledged that Veridian is actually building very small lot and small homes, which was intended to be at a price point people could afford. But unfortunately, the cost of everything is such that those homes are still in the $550 range. And it's not unique to Madison, to Wanakee.
No.
And Savannah Village was built with small lots and narrow streets, which the fire department does not like, by the way, which we need to acknowledge. But there have been some attempts to try to do that, and just construction costs, infrastructure costs, all the other costs, interest rates, et cetera, have not allowed it. So I just think it's really important that residents understand that we're not unique in terms of affordability. It's a problem everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
But there are still some things we could do to try to, make more of it happen. Like you can give a little bit more density if they create affordable pricing. But there's only so much room in the costs.
Yeah, that's true. And trying to work within the current zoning framework to just try and make things cheaper is just approaching it from one side. And it's hard. You can only get so far because the parts, the plumbing, the infrastructure, you name it, it's all so expensive. All the components that go into building a house.
And one of the things I see is that it seems like the more density we provide, the higher the land cost is that the property owner asks. So it doesn't seem to help unless we were to land bank.
Yeah.
Or do something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Sue. Other comments? Things that stood out when we read through?
I have one follow-up just on from the respondents. I was impressed by that number. As a planning nerd, I dove in a little bit and appreciated that. Just out of curiosity, not relevant to the plan, but compared to what you're seeing in other communities, this was an amazing response rate, I assume?
Oh, by leaps and bounds. By leaps and bounds. This was almost 10% of the village's population. It's incredible. Often we feel very lucky to hit 300. We're jumping for joy. At 300, and that's after repeated social media blasts. We're stuck under 60 in another community I'm working on, and we just can't get past that no matter what we do.
Okay, fair. That's what I assumed, but so that data hasn't changed in a while, but good to know. Thank you.
Yeah.
I think the only other thing I wanted to add, and I really appreciate, I think the public comment was really relevant. When you look at, and we drive in, and I'll be biased and say Starbucks every day or other places, is everybody has a their hours are limited. Everybody has a for hire sign. I know this isn't all part of part one, but I do think this is a issue we'll continue to see and hear and feel, is just figuring out, we want growth and development and all these things happening, but when you read the data, especially it was like the live and work part in Wanakee, and you saw, these are, everything we have are like high school kid jobs, right? They're not, we're not paying full-time
Right.
wages. We don't have
Right.
full-time, not a half of them aren't even full-time positions, they're part-time. So I thought that was interesting. And I do think something, just as we think about what this plan means and what it means for the development we're hoping to encourage, I think we have to be flexible and understanding and thinking about things from 8-inch to 12-inch. I was going to ask the same question about, what requirements are we putting on for costs that people build, and are they able to get the employees to be here and open on the hours we need them, and all those kinds of things. So that was interesting for me. Also shouted out to me, maybe we need to think more about expanding manufacturing and other things, because those are good paying jobs, and we probably need to make sure we're allocating the right areas to ensure we can provide those kind of opportunities in the long-term plan for where we do some of our land uses and other things. So I appreciated that part of it. The only other thing I think we need to think about is the senior housing, and just with an aging population and the demographics. And if you forecast out and look at some of our numbers of where we're going to be in 20 years, that means we're all going to be 20 years older. So, I mean, maybe not me, but the rest of you are going to be 20 years older. But from that perspective, we need to think about what that means. If I still want to stay in town in 20 years and can't stay in my home, where do I go? Or hope my kids will take care of me at home. So, just certain things I think we need to think about. You covered most of it in here. It was a little long. As a planner, not many people are going to read this, and I appreciate it, and I know it has to be there. I just think it'd be nice to see at some point if we want to share this. I mean, I am a planner, Andy, so if I want someone like my kids or someone else to read this, it'd be nice in the end to make sure our executive summary is brief, and maybe we have a one-pager on each part of it, just because my kids and wife were not going to read this, and I'd love to take it home and be like, look at how cool this is. And maybe they share with a friend or two, or we could talk about it at a family dinner. So
I hear
only
you.
piece I'd add there.
No, that's totally legit. This is the data dump. That's its job, is to be the data dump. The comprehensive plan itself will be eminently more readable than this. But just to have all this data in one place, I mean, do we do 7 one-page summaries and then just a ton of appendices? I mean,
No, that's my new pitch. That's my favorite part of a plan nowadays. But I will say, what I would love though is this, for us to have a document that Lauren could give if someone does want to invest in the community or understand. This is a crap load of really good data. Could we narrow it down to a 2-sided one-pager that someone, no offense, but like someone would actually read if they wanted the information? We pay for a really good plan, but we don't have a lot of really great data that we could just hand out as a one-pager on information. And I get it's all point in time data, but might be, I just think it'd be kind of cool to have, like, all right, phase 1, all these people are sitting here today, could leave with something someday we could give them, or at least, have a QR code that people could scan when they're out and about, just getting some cool info. Some of the infographics you could throw on a pretty cool one-pager that I think are relevant. And I don't know, I would like to think that people would maybe read more information if we made it better synthesized. But I'm also.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Other comments?
I'll pop in, literally just 2 comments. Nothing that was surprising to me in the least, but in the community strengths and assets, the list of things there is fantastic. And I'll just call out, because I see Bill in the room, excellent public services. And one of the things that I consistently hear from people, the crew that goes around and picks up brush and everything, and they find that to be just such an amazing thing in this community if they've come from other places. And I don't need to say anything more about that. That's wonderful. And then the other thing that struck me here was the comparison about the regional growth, us in relation to Dane County, and that is what it is. But it's fantastic data in here. And I would mirror what Melissa said. If there's a way to give just, a handful of the nuggets that are here, that can draw somebody in, and then, maybe a QR code to go see the rest of it. I think that would be fantastic for sharing out.
Other comments? Yes, Sue.
There was one other thing I wanted to mention, and it had to do with retail. You know, people talk about more grocery stores, or they want to be able to buy more of their merchandise in town, but the reality is, from a market standpoint, we're not big enough. And Wanakee is dead-ended, is how I describe it. Unlike Fitchburg, Verona, Middleton, where all those communities kind of merge into each other and people cross back and forth. You gotta have to come to Wanakee because we're really separate, which is what we like.
Yeah.
We're separated from a population base, a larger population base. And so you're not gonna get a Target, even a little Target. You're not gonna get a lot of those different types of stores because we just don't have enough buying power here. Which
Exactly.
people are always complaining. I go, well, have more kids, whatever. But it's something that I think,
Is that the answer?
no, because you also have people that don't want to grow too much. So, we've got that conflict. So it's just a comment that, maybe could be brought out somewhere to, if people do read all this, they recognize there's a reason we don't have everything, is because they wouldn't survive.
Thanks, Sue. Other comments, questions?
I would just say, one of the things that strikes me about this is, yeah, we don't have a lot of, which is not a good thing, but cheaper housing.
Mhm.
And we don't have a lot of retail. And there's a lot of things we don't have. But we're also, I feel like I could be anywhere in Madison in half an hour.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be the curse of this, that it's going to be hard to have everything
Mhm.
when we are so close. And yeah, we noted that we don't have a lot of grocery stores, but you can go to how many grocery stores in 20 minutes, whether you're going west or east or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
And I just think we're not going to be able to solve this for everybody, but maybe part of it is if we can't, because it's just not conducive to have cheaper housing, maybe it's working with Madison to get the buses here like it's going to some of the other towns. So you can have a way to get people out here that maybe can't afford to live here otherwise. I think you got to play the hand you're dealt a little bit, if you know what I mean. So.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Chris, did you have any comments?
I thought it was interesting just with the amount of people that responded, that 80% of those respondents all made over $100,000 that live here, which isn't completely surprising with the housing costs here, that people do make that much money. But I
Is that
thought
household or individual?
household
So
incomes,
two people.
correct. So that was one thing that struck me. One of the questions I would have, and this goes back to understanding maybe what is going on within our schools, but how many of our students are working? And that's part of the shortage of workers that we have in those wage groups. Years ago, it was me and all my friends, we all had jobs of some sort. And now I don't know that the kids are necessarily working, which pulls away from our work pool that we've got out there. So,
We see that, that's a national phenomena. The requirements of high school are just significantly greater than they were for our generation. They're smarter kids. Sports, AP classes, even the tech ed classes are incredibly time intensive and very sophisticated. So we don't differ that way. The thing that stood out for me was the growth rate in Wanakee of 2.6%, which was significantly higher, quite a bit higher than Dane counties. I know we talk a lot about, are we absorbing enough households? Are we growing fast enough that we can support the population growth across the county? And that our growth is outpacing at such a high rate the rest of the county. It feels to me like, okay, well, we're doing our job, but I also have questions around trying to find a place for my aging parents who need assisted living now. And I would love them to move to Wanakee. There are wait lists everywhere. There aren't independent living apartments. Just the lack of what does the stage of life look like in Wanakee when you get to the point where you're no longer in your own home or don't want to be in your own home? And have we sufficiently provided, or are we sufficiently providing housing options for that stage of life? And then also those entry level, I've got kids in their late 20s who would love to be homeowners. And they're like, we have no hope of buying a home in the next 6 or 7 years. They'll be in their mid 30s before they can afford to buy anything. And my husband and I were in our mid 20s when we bought our first place. So that disparity, and we're seeing it at our household on both ends of the spectrum here, just starting out and really wanting to be in that last home, you know, so that you hit on both of those was great.
Good.
Yeah.
The whole concept of a starter home. I mean, what used to be a starter home, just where are they? They're not being built. You know,
Yeah.
the starter homes are the houses from the 70s.
Yeah.
That, you know, and those are nearing the end of their life cycle. So
Absolutely.
starter homes are like that's one of the tools to in housing reform is how do we make starter homes cool again?
Yeah.
And you know, and one part of that, I'm just talking planning nerdery, but one part of that is, you know, do we need minimum lot sizes of 7,600 square feet? Really? Do we need that? Or could they be half that or less?
Yeah.
And a lot of people would just be like, no. Well, that's how you start with a starter home is on
Yeah.
a small lot. Maybe it's a, you know, a 2-unit, you know, next 2-unit townhome, something like that. So
We have those in Home Viridian's been developing. They sell like hotcakes. So
Yeah.
people,
Oh.
it's an option that people want, right? Absolutely. The other thing I will say is somebody who does public opinion research, when I saw the number of respondents to all of those open-ended questions, I am impressed at your ability to synthesize all of that information. Truly impressive. Good job.
well,
Yeah.
thank you. And I am abhorred by AI by and large, but this is where this is what allows us to synthesize 1,200 responses. You simply couldn't do it. We would have to cap the survey responses at 300 if we had to read these by hand, and then it would take 2 months.
Yep.
So, so we're very, very careful about it. We're very good at it, and that is the only instance that we employ artificial intelligence in the comp plan process.
Excellent. Well, thank you. All right. Any other comments before we move on? Yeah. No.
I guess maybe I'd want to, since we have an extra minute here, do you think based on the respondents, that it was a good to me, it appeared just based on the data that it was also a good representation of the village based on age and socioeconomic? I mean, there's some gaps, but let's be honest. I mean, I'd say there a good 85% of the village is represented in the responses. Would you say that?
Yes.
Was a pretty good response rate to say we're pretty darn accurate.
Yes. I can compare it to previous ones where it's mostly retirees who just have the time to do it. That's not the case here. I think we felt it was a pretty good cross section of the residency.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah.
All right. Well, Madam Chair, just my only closing comments are that an important part of this ECR, existing conditions report, are the initial observations and recommendations. So I hope you had a chance to look at those, and those will inform our initial approaches in phase 2, which we will be starting on here in the coming weeks at the turn of the year, where we'll actually start pulling together draft goals and strategies and coming up with a planning framework for the comprehensive plan, and then goals and strategies in there. And we'll refine those and work with the steering committee, plan commission, as we refine those. And then we'll move on to sort of a public engagement phase in spring to kind of get public feedback and what we call test the waters with, hey, here are the problems we heard in the existing conditions report. Here's our approaches that we're thinking of that align with the community character and the visions people have for Wanakee. What do you think? And we refine those, and and when those are finalized, that's the end of phase 2. So maybe that's early summer, and then we start writing the comprehensive plan.
All right. That sounds like a good plan to me.
Yay. Good.
Feedback, commissioners. Anyone on that? Yeah. All right.
I have one more quick one.
Yes.
Did you is there anything in the survey that asked about people owning more than one residence in the community?
No, this wasn't that type of, there were very few get to know you questions.
Okay. Because where I'm getting at is you see a lot of the population that's over 50 having multiple homes, which is taking homes off the market for everyone else. And it's just a thought I had about that. Since we say there's a shortage of housing, is that part of it? That could be.
Having multiple homes within Wanakee, within the village limits.
Wanakee or outside of.
Yeah.
It's not that it's a bad thing. I'm not saying people shouldn't be doing it. I'm just saying, is that part of what's causing the shortage of homes potentially?
Oh, it's a part of it. Absolutely. It's a multi-sided dice. That's for sure. Okay, Lauren, in your memo, did a good job of summarizing the action we're looking for. Of course, very open to input, revisions. If you thought like, wait, no, if you don't feel like anything needs to be revisited, then we would ask for an actual approval of the existing conditions report, and then it will go on the project website, and we'll do a promotional push with village staff just so that everybody who's participated in this, I'm sure they're wondering what happened. These guys were at National Night Out and then they ghosted on us. So I think people will be happy to know that, oh, okay, we're moving forward and this is actually something I can read. Oh, Kristen, I did have a question for you.
Yeah.
You were involved in the last comprehensive plan. Was a report of this nature a part of that process as well?
Chris and Sue were, yeah, both involved.
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So this is great. Yeah.
So did that process have an existing conditions analysis like this?
They're shaking their
No.
heads no.
No.
Yeah.
Okay. Because next time, ask for it in the RFP, because that's when you can really start comparing apples to apples. Hey, here's what's changed in 10 years, 12 years, however long it is. That's another reason this document, though laborious to read, you ain't wrong, I'm admitting it. This just has a lot of things you can finally say, well, this is how things were in 2025 by gum.
I'd say my only suggestion would be if we could work with Kaylin she's our communications manager, to maybe put together a one pager with a QR code.
Yep,
that
I was
leads
thinking
to
the same thing. Yep.
So we can actually get that done. I agree. It's a great document. I also would like my family to read it too and want to discuss it with me. We'll see if
Well,
that
and the
happens.
fact that you had 1,000 people respond means 1,000 people probably want to follow up, right? So I mean, and they're not gonna, no offense, but they're not gonna read 90 pages and they shouldn't have to.
Yeah.
But with that great of a response, I think give them what they want.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And they can skip economic development if they want. You know, they're gonna read.
Fail, epic fail, Andy. The only chapter they need to read.
I love it. I love it. Do we have anything else? If not.
One thing, Andy,
Yeah.
other than, so when you came and were originally trying to propose to work with us and you did your research of Wanakee, is there anything in here that surprised you from the respondents as well as the information?
Question. Yeah.
No, I wouldn't say surprised. It's just been, learning things isn't being surprised by them. I think that's how I'll kind of frame my answer. I learned a lot. I don't think anything like, oh, I didn't expect that. I don't think I felt that way. I enjoyed kind of looking at the opportunity sites. I think when, in my touring and initial research, I didn't view that triangle property off Main as especially impactful, but the more I walked around, I'm like, yeah, this place has got bones. We can do something with this. Or the property north of the roundabout. I think that's, I probably wouldn't have had my attention drawn to that as a site with potential. Century Avenue, yes, I get that. I think that's got wonderful potential. I can't wait to dive into that with you guys. So I think some of the sites, that was surprising to me. Good question. But I think a lot of the other things, less so. People are proud of Wanakee. I'm always glad to see that. A lot of the small town character is important to people. So it was fun learning more than being surprised.
Thank you.
All right. With that, we need an approval. Anybody?
Move to approve the existing conditions report for the Wanakee 2040 comprehensive plan.
Right. All right. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much, Andy, for being here with us tonight.
Oh, you're welcome. And please, Madam Chair, allow me to say thank you for accommodating my virtual attendance. I'm only in Kenosha, but still,
No worries.
I really, really appreciate it.
Excellent. Anytime. All right. Thanks a lot, Andy.
Okay.
All right. With that, Joint Plan Commission update.
Yep, so we do have 2 items on the agenda for tomorrow night. We have this car wash SIP that will go for final action, and we have the solar project, which will be going for a conditional use permit.
All right. I will be there to observe. With that, any other questions, comments, suggestions for the good of the cause?
As far as Joint Plan Commission, I assume if we happen to end up with quorum of the board, it's listed there. I'm not reading the tiny little.
I believe we do a notice of quorum on the agenda.
Just making sure.
I'll check with Carly.
Don't take any action.
Exactly.
All right.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.